we've been trying to tell better stories about women and clergy and the church because we really need to tell better stories. Instead of just complaining about it, what if we flood the airwaves with something different? Hey, I wanted to do a short little one-off episode. Actually, I have a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about, so I might have to make this two because, well, whatever. I want to talk about a new challenge that I'm going to start. Okay, I want to talk about a new challenge that I'm going to start. It's a 90-day leadership challenge. And so for those of you who've been following the podcast, I'm going to take This Is Her Story to the Wesleyan Holiness Women Clergy Conference, which is in March 2022. And Kadi Cole and Joe Saxton are the two keynote speakers. There'll also be, if you're not familiar with that conference, there'll be breakouts, workshops, those kind of things. There'll be a bunch of exhibitors there. But the two keynote speakers are going to be Joe Saxton and Kadi Cole, who just pray with me as we try to get them on the podcast. All right. Anyway, in the meantime, Kadi Cole's most recent book is Find Your Leadership Voice in 90 Days. And so I'm going to do a 90-day challenge starting June 1st, and I'm going to take a group of women through this. Now, I know sometimes we think to ourselves, I'm just not really a leader. Here's the thing. No one sets out to be a leader, right? We set out to make a difference. That's what we're trying to do. So my guess is you set out to make a difference, and people who do that end up leading in some capacity. You can't help it. If you're going to set out to make a difference, people are going to take notice of that. And so you're going to be a leader in some capacity or another. You might lead more people or less people. But in some way you are a leadership. And so you are in leadership. And so we need to really cultivate our voice. I've been doing this for 16 years. I've been a pastor for 16 years anyway. And I have a mentor and I have a coach, and I'm constantly reading books. I mean, this is something that we need to work on. And as we come out of the pandemic, we're on the backside of this pandemic, and slowly we're going to begin to find our new normal. Here's the thing. They just announced, the CDC just announced that if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask in most places. Yes, there's still some places you will have to wear a mask. But that means that things are going to start moving fast and furiously pretty quickly. Okay, seriously, I'm just getting used to using this new recording platform. And so I accidentally hit stop instead of pause. But here's what I was thinking. Our calendars for really the last, 15, 16 months have been cleared because of the pandemic. And you're going to want to take control of your calendar. What are you going to let back into your life? What things do you not want back in your life? And if you're not intentional about it, people will put stuff on your calendar for you. I mean, it will fill up. But the other thing is that this is really the time, if you haven't been working on it for the last several months, to start preparing for whatever is coming next, whatever it is that God has planned for you next. I'm not going to read because of copyright. I can't read to you a whole bunch out of the book, but there's a couple parts I want to read to you. So this is from her opening. What's she saying? Okay, she says, she's talking about discovering her leadership voice. She said, first of all, it took me forever to figure out what a leadership voice even is, let alone to find my own. Second, I don't really like the sound of my voice. Really? Do any of us like the sound of our voice? Third, my previous attempts to have a strong voice have failed miserably. And 4, I don't like the fact that we have to actually spend time trying to figure it out. Like, can we just go with the flow, right? Some of you are like that. Here's the part that hit me and struck me most. But the worst part are all of the questions. It's like a champion ping pong tournament happening in my head all day long and sometimes all night. All of those questions. Should I speak up? Should I stay quiet? Did I say that right? What did they think? Should someone else do this? Was that too much? Was I too much? After 4 decades of walking with the Lord, a 30-year career in leadership in 4 industries, and coaching countless leaders, let me assure you that you are not too much. The battle, questioning ourselves, doubting our achievements, wondering if we're about to get fired, feeling like we are not enough and too much at the same time. It's a battle that many female leaders face. It's the part of what we call the sticky floor. But the goal of this is to help you break free from the sticky floor. That is all the things that hold us back, mostly, which is our mindset. And I was just listening to Carrie Newhoff interviewed Beth Moore. I'm gonna put the link to that episode in the show notes, because here's the thing: Beth Moore is incredibly gifted, incredibly talented, has written how many books, spoken all over the world, right? And she talks about how she struggles with this. So if Beth Moore needs to constantly work on this, how much more do you and I need to work on this? So what I have discovered in 16 years is that we need other leaders to help us, whether they're ahead of us or they're, even if they're our peers, that we can't do this alone. We need one another to do this. So I'm curating this group, and I'm going to take you through it. It's going to start June 1st, so 90 days. We'll be done by the end of August. And you can be as engaged or as much as you want, or if you just want to engage a little bit, you can do that too. You'll have to get the book, and the challenge is free, but you're going to have to buy the book. So you get on Amazon or whatever you buy your books. I'll put a link to that also in the comments. And so the daily reading is pretty short. You should be able to read that 3 to 5 minutes. There's some reflection questions. If you want to go really deep, she does have a journal that goes with it. Now, I got the journal. I looked at it. I am a big time journaler. I like it. I'm going to probably use it. But don't spend your money on the journal if that's not your thing. You can just get a regular notebook or something like that and write in it, or make notes in the margin of the book. And so I have a Facebook group called This Is Your Story. So you're either going to have to friend me, or you're going to have to follow This Is Her Story Facebook page so that I can put you in that private group. All right. I'll put the sign up link also in the comments below for you to sign up for this 90-day leadership challenge. And so I'm promising to show up in that group at least once a week. And then every other week, I'm going to do a Zoom call. We'll record it, and I'll post the recording in that private group. So even if you can't be on the Zoom call, you can go back and you can watch it. But obviously, the more you engage, the more you will get out of this for yourself to really grow as a leader. We all have something that we're working on at any given time, including Beth Moore, right? So that means if you want to level up, this is your opportunity. I'm going to try to keep it a safe space. So, group rules, we want you to say encouraging things to one another. We can challenge one another but still do it in an encouraging way. But this really is an opportunity for you to go through this with other people, hear their struggles, hear their victories, hear their small wins, big wins, whatever. And I want to take you through that. I think it's going to be a good, we'll come out stronger on the end. And I suspect that several of you when you get to the end of it, that God is going to begin speaking some things into your life that he wants you to step out on faith and try, or step out on faith and do, I should say. Don't try, do it. But when we prepare ourselves, that's when the opportunities come. So you prepare yourself first, then the opportunities come. So this is 90 days of preparation, so that when you're done with this, then God's going to start moving some opportunities into your life for you to lead. But first we have to prepare and get and kind of level up. So even if you're already leading, my guess is there's probably some new things that God wants to ask you to do. So you need to get ready for that, right? And then the other thing I really wanted to talk about, I'm working on expanding who I invite to the podcast. So, and I've had some recommendations from people. So I'm trying to kind of articulate what's the criteria for my guests. And I've tried to stick pretty close to the Wesleyan Arminian branch of the church. So I'm getting beyond Nazarene pastors and starting to invite some other people from other denominations onto the podcast. But right now, I'm kind of staying in that Wesleyan Arminian, mostly because, and here's the reason why. I feel like the Reformed voice, but especially those who are fundamentalists in their, so they're far leaning, well, how do I want to say that? Ultra conservative. I don't even know that that's the right wording, because I would say theologically I am conservative, but I think that the kingdom can be wider, that grace is both wide and deep. And if we really read the parables of Jesus, all the parables he has about the kingdom is always about expanding the kingdom, making more room for other people. But I've kind of limited to that because I feel like those are the voices that have flooded just social media and the public square for so long, that one of the comments I get more often than not when I preach is, they had never heard preaching from a Wesleyan Arminian perspective before. And they're like, I didn't even know there were other options out there. And we've really, it's become this narrow mindset. And even this, in the last couple of weeks, I had some young people who are Christians who say to me, well, I'm not a Christian, I just follow Jesus. Uh, so like everything they're telling me they believe, I'm like, well, that means you're a Christian, but they don't want to identify, because we've made this, if you don't believe this way, exactly this way, and live it out this way, and act this way, and subscribe to this vein of this expression of Christianity, then you're not a real Christian. And of course, if you're not a real Christian, that means you're not going to be in heaven, which is just bogus. Which is why I believe that Wesleyan Arminian ministers, we need your voice. We need you to speak up. You need to be writing blogs. You need to be recording podcasts. You need to be in 90-day leadership challenge groups, because we need you. I believe that this is the time, really, for the Wesleyan holiness churches to rise up and to offer an alternative voice and an alternative expression that is still in line with the essentials of following Christ. So, anyway, those are my 2 cents on that issue. I am working on expanding who I bring in, and I might start. There's two gals. They're actually Episcopal priests that I'm looking at bringing on the podcast, connecting up with them. So we'll see where that goes. But in the meantime, I have some new episodes coming. Keep your eye out for those. Have a great week. we've been trying to tell better stories about women and clergy and the church, because we really need to tell better stories. Instead of just complaining about it, what if we flood the airwaves with something different?